afternoon. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. It is Tuesday, May 15th. Unexpected, but in studio alongside Kevin Coleman, as some moving weather coming our direction right now has really thrown off the schedule at least one more time here in a wild spring season. All
right, this better be the last time weather impends on the spring season this year. Boy, I feel so bad for these athletes. This has been a really rough spring in terms of weather and all the delays and all the postponements due to snow early April, and now you got all this rain and the thunderstorms coming in here in May, so it's really, really tough. So, this is going to be a tough week, but hopefully we get through it, and, hopefully this weather that's impending too in the later part of the week stays away.
We just got to look there on your screen at a image from the National Weather Service, some severe weather expected to come our way. They're unsure of the exact timing, but it's in the early afternoon. So that has moved a lot of games around. We thought we might be at Staples, but we held off on that decision at the risk of, our equipment before the upcoming postseason. But we've got a very good replacement for FCIAC Baseball, and that's one of the FCIAC Baseball experts of Hearst Media. He is Scott Erickson, and he joins us now via the phone here on Nutmeg Sports. Scott, good afternoon. Thank you for taking time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. We might as well have one more day of bad weather before the season ends.
Well, at least it's not snowing or 30 degrees again, so I can get on board with a little bit of rain, I suppose.
Well, it's appropriate that St. Joe's is one of the few games scheduled for today, because they've had about 15 postponements this year already. So.
It was so funny. I was talking with Coach Jack McFarland's keeping me in the loop this morning, talking about when they're going to make the decision, and I'm thinking to myself, St. Joe's will do anything and everything in their power to play that game today. They are not going to reschedule one more time.
No, they want to play, and they all want to play before the FCIACs, just for their pitching and everything else. You want to have everything lined up when you head into the tournament.
Well, especially St. Joe's right now as well, because they're starting to piece it together a little bit again. Big wins consecutively over New Canaan, and Darien has found them in the top 4 of the conference. It was a huge Monday in the FCIAC, Scott. We saw 6 more teams book their ticket to this FCIAC tournament. And outside of Richfield and Staples right now, 3 through 8, you get the sense that it's anyone's game with the mosh that we're seeing there.
Yeah, I'd go 3 through 12 still. McMahon's really in the driver's seat with that last spot, but up until yesterday, all those games were up for grabs. Now, Ludlow lost, New Canaan lost, Ward lost, and Wilton lost to Stanford, which sort of settled things out a little bit. But we could have gone into tomorrow with all those teams having almost the same record, and then you'd be looking at crazy tiebreakers. So, if McMahon loses one of those games, one of those teams could slide up. So, and I don't think there's a big difference between Danbury and Wilton, really, honestly, on the field.
I really do agree with that, and it's interesting because Kevin and I have been watching Wilton this season, and you kept saying to yourself, there's just no way that they're not going to get into this tournament. They're too experienced coming off that championship, and here they are now with really an almost insurmountable way of having to backdoor into the FCIACs. Are you surprised at where Wilton's going to finish as we are?
Well, I think they've lost 6 of their last 7. Their only win was over Central. They caught fire for a while, but I think the problem that they had at the beginning of the season is still the problem they have now, and that's just they don't have any depth of pitching, reliable depth of pitching, and it was hard because they lost 3 really good pitchers from last year, and it's hard to replace those guys, especially the 2 guys on top. And I think that they played really well in the middle of the stretch of the schedule, got themselves right where they wanted to be, but after that Darien game, Darien walked them off that day, and since then it's been a really struggle for Wilton. So, not sure exactly what's going on, but the depth of pitching has definitely been one thing on the field.
All right, Scott, let's talk about Wilton's rival in Richfield, who is sitting in the #1 seed, clinched it last night, a team that made it to the final and lost to Wilton last year in a heartbreaker 2-1. How confident are you in the Tigers here going into the FCIAC tournament?
For the exact opposite reason, yeah. Because their depth of pitching is awesome. I don't think there's 3 better Arts and Price. Those 3 guys, when you get into a tournament, can carry you straight through, especially the FCIAC tournament where you got 3 games and you have 3 reliable starters or if you mix and match and bring one in relief. Obviously, those guys will help in the States, too, but I really like Ridgefield heading into this FCIAC tournament. They have a lot of seniors, kids like we've said before, they didn't play necessarily last year, but they're seniors, and they were on that team. They were in the dugout at Harbor Yard if they weren't on the field. I really like Ridgefield a lot, just because the pitching is so good, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up pitching. Pitching really has been terrific this year in the FCIAC throughout, all 13 teams who are really biting in right now for a playoff spot. If you were the skipper and you had to choose one pitcher in this conference right now, who is it?
One pitcher, one game?
One pitcher, one game.
I think I would still go Chad Knight, but it's really hard to not take Alex Price. But right now, I would take Chad Knight just because he's been through all the battles,
That's interesting. I actually, and what are the odds Kevin would ask a Ridgefield question? Is I'm about to go that way, but I actually think I would lean Alex Price. I was down at Meade Park last week when the Tigers played against New Canaan, and as great as Arts was over the first 5 innings of that game, there was just a sense of excitement and astonishment when Alex Price came in. He was good in the 6th, but for the 7th inning, he was just unhittable, and you saw he is in a different class compared to a lot of the teams and a lot of the hitters in this conference right now. So for me, I think Price is really good. If the game is on the line, maybe not your best starter, but 1 inning, I'm probably going to go Justin Jordan and Darien. Even though the Blue Wave have started to cool off a little bit and fall back to earth here, Scott.
Yeah, Justin Jordan's just a tough kid. So when he comes in relief, he's really strong. And Henry Williams is a really good pitcher too from Darien. So I'm definitely not writing Darien off. I think they're built well for the playoffs also because of their depth of pitching. But yeah, Justin Jordan's a great closer. He just has that mentality. He can come in the tough situations and get it done. There's a few other kids, but yeah, Price is special. I mean, he's all-state. He's an all-state pitcher, and there's not many of those around. Like I said, I would take Chad in 1 game, but you're not going to go wrong with Alex Price, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is on the mound in the FCIAC championship, holding the trophy up at the end.
And you know what? I lied to you before. I'm already going to flip my answer because this goes back to, I've said it all year. I think he's the most underrated player in the entire FCIAC. 1 game, especially come tournament time, because they just find a way to have success. I actually think I might go Ben Farrow.
Well, yeah, you can't really go wrong with Trumbull in the FCIAC tournament, right?
Trumbull in the FCIAC, I don't know what it is, but I got a feeling you're going to see them in that Final Four again, and if they get Farrow with the right draw, he is borderline unhittable at times, let alone dominant.
Yeah, and they have, one of the best catchers in the league, too. You can say Marco Montiero at Norwalk, but Kevin Brueggemann at Trumbull is really, really excellent. And that goes a long way, too, to help the pitcher through some of these games, especially tough playoff games. I've liked Trumbull all year. I said once they figured it out that they'd be there and be in the playoffs. And as we all know, they own this time of year. I mean, they're just so good. Whatever Phil Pacelli does to get them tournament ready, he gets them tournament ready every single year. And, yeah, Ben Farrell's a great answer, too. Like you said, there's so many frontline starters. That first round of the tournament's going to be really interesting if everyone throws their frontline starter, in the quarterfinals.
And Scott, another team, and I agree with Trumbull 100%, another team that seems to always be tournament ready, it's Coach Radford's Danbury Hatters. How confident are you? Right now they're sitting in the 3rd spot in the FCIAC. How confident are you in the Hatters?
Look, Sean plays small ball really well and takes advantage of situations and will bunt like 5 times in a row and will hit and run. And when you can do those little things and execute them properly in a one-and-done baseball tournament, you have an advantage over teams. And kids get a little nervous on the big stage, and you're throwing down bunts all the time, and they're throwing the ball around. Sean's a master at that. Sean got a title a few years ago. He's one of the best coaches in the state. Javon Hernandez is a really good, fast player that they have out there. They have some good pitching that's developed well over the season. No, I mean, when you get into the FCIAC tournament, we've said this every year, but any of the 8 teams can win it. So would I be surprised if Danbury is playing for the title? No, that wouldn't be my pick, but absolutely not surprising for the reasons I said. Sean's just so good at coaching up small ball.
Especially, too, with how the Solomine brothers have really come into their own on the mound. One team that I think is not getting a lot of recognition right now, and they're playing very good baseball, are the Greenwich Cardinals. They're currently 7th. They have an opportunity to move up to 6th, but I mean, what are your thoughts on Greenwich, Sean, Scott, who has really put themselves into a good position now this back half of the season?
Interesting, because if you look at their roster, you'd say, well, there's no frontline starter, there's no ace, there's no one that throws in the mid 80s to close to 90, but somehow here they are, as they are many years, getting into the SCAC tournament, and that's a testament to the kids they have down there playing, and Mike Moore, the coach. But the kids just go out and do their jobs, and they hit really well. They got a good lineup, and they've had to hit this year because the pitching, like I said, hasn't been great. But if they get a good start out of a kid here or there, they could make some noise in the tournament. I think it's going to be tough when you're dealing with such good pitching going against them, because the runs, start to get tightened up a little bit. And Greenwich has been better, kind of slugging it out with teams. The other team that I think we haven't talked about a lot is McMahon. I don't know if you guys are going to bring them up, but they had a lot of injuries to start the season, and John Cross said to me, he goes, if we get healthy, we're going to be okay. And they got healthy, and they're one of the hottest teams in the league right now, and they're a very dangerous team if they get into this tournament.
Well, that was going to be my next question was, McMahon obviously in the best position of those final 6 teams looking to clinch the 8th spot, but out of McMahon, Ludlow, Ward, New Canaan, Norwalk, who do you see as the most dangerous with the opportunity to possibly knock off Ridgefield in that first round?
I think McMahon, I think New Canaan is dangerous because I think their number 1 pitcher is pretty good, and they play pretty clean defensively at times. But I think McMahon is the best equipped to go and take on Ridgefield in that first game. John Cross has them coached up well. They have a good solid lineup, and they have pitching that can compete. They're not obviously on the level of the Ridgefield kids as far as pitching, but all you have to do is compete and be there, within a couple runs in the last couple innings. And in baseball, you can pull the upset. So I would stick with McMahon. It's kind of a chalk answer, but I think that they're the team that I like the best of those bottom teams.
I agree with that, and I want to get on board with New Canaan, obviously, but the losses against Ludlow and Ward, I think, are just going to prove to be too much. So the Rams probably on the outside looking in for this tournament. Scott, thank you so much for taking time with us today. You've got a new podcast going on, High and Tight. Just want to give us a quick chance to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, if you go on to Game Time CT, you can check out High and Tight, which is done with me and Pete Pugaga, whose name I have really hard time saying every week on the podcast.
That's exactly why I love you talking about this.
But he's an awesome guy. We talk about baseball from the FCAC, SEC, SWC, all over the state. You can find that on Game Time CT. Please check it out. We have a lot of fun doing it. And I, like I do here, I just love talking about high school baseball.
Well, you do a great job of it, and you are always a reliable source. So,
hey, Scott, quickly, Frank. Hey, I love that tweet you and Pete sent out. You guys jamming out to NSYNC before you guys recorded your podcast. We gotta get you going on your boy band knowledge here a little bit, my man.
Oh, so bad. I was like, wow, Pete's like improvising this amazing song.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
Oh, man. All right, Scott. Thank you so much again. We're looking forward to seeing you during the tournaments, and we will talk soon, friend.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, be good. That was Scott Erickson of Hearst Media. Check out High and Tight at Game Time CT. Kevin and I are going to take a break. When we get back, we got plenty more on the FCX playoff pictures coming up next on Nutmeg Sports.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during Ram Truck Month, get up to $14,000 off on all in-stock 2017 Ram 1500 pickups. Come in and see us for details. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Ridgefield, PambyZone.com.
UK Gourmet is the largest specialty grocer in the area, featuring food from England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Over 80 teas to choose from and a brilliant assortment of biscuits to go with them. Over 70 cheeses from grass-fed cows, which makes a smashing difference in taste. The creamiest chocolate you'll ever taste using no artificial colors or preservatives. So say hooray for UK Gourmet.
78 Stony Hill Road in Bethel, or visit ukgourmet.us.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Ortho Connecticut Walk-In Urgent Care gives you direct access to orthopedic specialists fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Ortho Connecticut Walk-In Urgent Care can help. Open 7 days a week now at 4 locations: Norwalk, Darien, Westport, and Danbury. Go to myorthoct.com, like them on Facebook.
Create your dream home at Laurel Ridge. 3 bedrooms, 2-car garages, finished basements, wooded and lake views, recreation facilities galore. Stay connected to your local lifestyle with the convenience of being just minutes away from Fairfield County. Luxury townhomes that are smart, elegant, custom, and maintenance-free.
At Pamby Motors.
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the HA Network, Frank Granito alongside Kevin Coleman. Thank you again to Scott Erickson taking time with us. I mean, after yesterday, Kev, the FCX tournament almost completely booked. The games shaking out really as well as they could for 6 teams who clinched their spots, including Staples, St. Joe's, Danbury, Darien, Trumbull, and Greenwich. Ridgefield beating West Hill completely eliminates the Vikings. New Canaan really falls into a difficult spot now after a 12-3 loss to the Wreckers. The St. Joe's win over Darien, very interesting to me. Because with that now, you've got Danbury all the way up to 3, but the Cadets, who 5 days ago, I was talking about possibly being completely out of this, like they were about to play themselves out of the tournament, are now hosting an FCX quarterfinal game if they continue to get things to go their way.
I'm not concerned about Darien, but the little slide they're having now, maybe a little bit of cold baseball going into the FCX postseason. Not a huge concern, but them, you talk about 5 days ago, this is a team that we had penciled in to host an FCX playoff game. Now they dropped down to 5. They're still very talented, and I know that's your pick to win it all, and that's a good pick still. I still think Darien's going to be a very dangerous team.
I will not abandon ship just yet.
They're going to be a hot team going into the FCX tournament. Not an easy team to play just one game against.
We will see Trumbull against Danbury tomorrow night. I do reserve the right, though, to completely get on the Trumbull bandwagon and ride that one out, depending when Ben Farrow is pitching in the tournament.
And that's rightfully so. I mean, you heard Scott say it. He's one of those guys. He's just got that special talent about him. He's got that special thing that he brings to the mound every start. And when you want to have a pitcher, one game that you have to win, he has that mentality. He has that grit. He has that type of mentality on the mound to be able to win you one game.
He's exactly right, and you were too. So many of these teams have just got these studs at the top of their pitching rotation. If you get them to go, it'll be interesting if you have in the quarterfinals, let's say Trumbull falls all the way down to 7, and Staples is at 2, and now you've got Chad Knight, Ben Farrow going against each other. I mean, that becomes a toss-up in my opinion.
100%.
So you could have matchups like that. Jake Arts, dealing against Brian McMahon in their lineup that's gotten hot. How does Greenwich I think the 2 most interesting storylines are going to be Greenwich and St. Joe's.
Yeah.
These are younger teams that we didn't really expect to find themselves playing as well as they are. St. Joe's at 4 could be hosting a game. How does their, youth match up with the experience of a Darien at 5? Are they going to be able to sort of overcome the jitters of that playoff moment, or does it sort of get the better of them and this was the learning curve to really taking strides next year?
I think there will be some nerves for St. Joe's, but at the same time, I think if they can hold on to this number 4 spot and be able to host a game, maybe them being comfortable at home will kind of ease the nerves a little bit. And again, playing against Darien, no matter what round it is, just playing one game against, it's not going to be easy. And another team I think a lot of people can't take lightly, and I know they're the 3 seed and they're well deserved to be there, is Danbury, because they play small ball. They know how to do that. If Javon gets on base, Javon Hernandez, the leadoff hitter, they're a dangerous team because then they can play small ball. They can bunt him over. He can steal. And even if they have a 1-run lead, they have Justin Solomon, and then they have his older brother, Ryan, coming in, throwing absolute heat out of the bullpen.
So I think Justin Solomon is the X factor for me there. And now you get to the point in the tournament where I'm really going to look for, okay, on the mound, I'm going to go experience. How are these younger guys going to handle themselves? It's only the FCX tournament, and a lot of people will say, well, they'll be nervous when you get to the state level. I would argue that actually the FCIAC is a bigger deal in this league. You want to win this conference. It's more likely, even though Staples, of course, winning the state championship last year. But that first round, if you throw Justin Solomon, how does he react to being in his first postseason experience? I think we're looking at a great tournament. It's going to be up there with one of the best that we've had in recent memory. Yeah. Any of the 8 teams would not be shocked if they ended up winning it. McMahon will be an interesting story today against Wilton. The Warriors have got the slimmest of margins to still get back into this tournament, but with a win against Brian McMahon, it becomes very, very interesting. Win for the Senators, and they're almost all but a lock to get in with Central looming at the end of the week. And
I agree with what you said there in terms of baseball itself. This tournament means a little bit something more than the state tournament. And I think you could say that for a lot of these sports in the FCIAC, but for baseball, it's just winning that FCIAC title. There just seems to be something a little bit more special about it in FCIAC baseball. I 100% agree with you on that.
Won't be celebrated at Harbor Yard this year, but I think they will still enjoy it just as much at Kubetta Stadium. So 7 of the 8 postseason spots in baseball are booked. Big games coming up the next 2 days. Staples and St. Joe's are playing baseball this afternoon in Westport. They moved that game up to 2:30. McMahon is going to play at Wilton at 3 p.m., so that's the huge game there. West Hill and New Canaan tomorrow. The Rams still hoping that they can sneak in. Norwalk at Darien. The Bears not mathematically eliminated yet. Darien hoping to get back into the top 4. Ward and Ridgefield, the Mustangs need a win. Trinity Catholic and Stanford, 2 teams that have been eliminated, although there are not many in the conference. We can say that about Wilton Ludlow tomorrow. We mentioned Central. McMahon will be at Danbury and Trumbull. Greenwich and Danbury, which was supposed to be played today, has been moved to Thursday. That is going to be very interesting because quarterfinals start up on Friday now, so you lose that day of rest and possibly practice to get everything set when you know who your first round matchup will be.
I think you look at tomorrow's game, Danbury-Trumbull, they're praying that they get that game in too, because that will have to get moved to Thursday as well. Those 2 teams want to go in a little bit rested as well.
Well, if that were the case, one of those games is most likely not getting played.
Maybe,
seeing how Greenwich-Danbury is at 4:30 on Thursday. It also is going to delay what the seedings will be.
Yeah.
Because Danbury and Greenwich against each other will matter for the final seedings. We will keep you up to date on all that. Again, we're live at Trumbull tomorrow night, weather pending, at 6 p.m. for the Eagles game against the Danbury Hatters. For now, Kevin and I are going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to look at softball. We got the girls lacrosse, boys lacrosse, everything to get you caught up on. Final few days of the FCIAC regular season, and it's next on Nutmeg Sports.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Want to free up backyard space, or are you just sick of looking at your deteriorating pool? Call Gorilla Pool Removal today, the in-ground pool fill-in experts. Pay a fraction of the cost in pool remodel by filling it in with our experienced crew. Available 7 days a week by call or text. Find out more at GrilloPoolRemoval.com.
Voted Best Gourmet to Go in Fairfield County, Palmer's extensive menu offers everything you'll need to make your next event easy and delicious. Whether you're hosting a small get-together or planning a large celebration, they've got you covered breakfast through dessert. Order online at palmersdarien.com or call 203-655-2077.
Want to free up backyard space, or are you just sick of looking at your deteriorating pool? Call Grillo Pool Removal today, the in-ground pool fill-in experts. Pay a fraction of the cost and pool remodel by filling it in with our experienced crew. Available 7 days a week by call or text. Find out more at GrilloPoolRemoval.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scamp Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Our Ram trucks get the job done with unparalleled style and performance. Call, click, or stop in to find the new Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck that you've been looking for. Family owned and operated for over 50 years. Save thousands right now at the Jeep Celebration event and Chrysler Pacifica Incredible Sales event. Now through May 31st.
Winter's finally in the rearview mirror, and the Dock Shop is ready to help you usher in our favorite season, summer. We've got new offerings in our usual products: clothing, jewelry, home decor, fishing tackles, and boating supplies. And now the Dock Shop does in-house laser engraving. You can add a name, a boat name, latitude, longitude, an image to drinkware, serving platters, boards, or decorative accessories. No minimum, fast turnaround. Stop in today and start your summer. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
And we're back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Frank Granito, Kevin Coleman in studio. Final few days of the FCI regular season. Softball race has pretty much been decided. Again, the top 7 spots for the past few days. But now it's Richfield, Kev, moved up into 8th place. Pole vaulting, Ward. Out of Richfield and Ward, who are you giving the better chance to knock off Trumbull?
Oh, man. This is not fair. I mean, I think Richfield, that's a great accomplishment for them to finish out the season strong, get into that 8th spot, and you know, I have full faith that they're going to be the ones who are going to take on Trumbull here. But man, we mentioned it during this past week how this is really going to be Trumbull's tournament, because they're out for they're at a little added motivation here, a little chip on their shoulder after being knocked out early last year. So I think Trumbull's going to come in here with a ton of motivation, a lot of confidence, and you know, we'd love to see Richfield put up a good fight, but Trumbull is just so talented.
Interesting yesterday too, Ludlow taking a loss earlier in the week, so now they're tied with St. Joe's, both 12-2. That'll most likely be a semifinal matchup we see on the other side. I like both those teams against Staples and against Danbury. But I'm going to tell you right now, huge matchup today. I don't believe it has been postponed yet. I can confirm that shortly for you. But Trumbull and Stanford playing today. The Black Knights, a 9-0 victory last night over Wilton. They continue to play great baseball. We saw them at was the beginning of the month, or end of last month, and we were thinking to ourselves, well, this is a big moment. They probably can't beat Danbury, but if they did, wow, the schedule sets up really nicely. They've got a lot of teams they're even with standing in front of them. Here they are now all the way up into the 4th spot, and I mean, they're just playing. I really stand by they're playing as well as anyone in the conference, and they're getting it from all 4 grades, freshman through senior. The balance of the contributions right now speaks volumes for what the Black Knights are doing.
Yeah, you're right, Frank. Talk about a balanced squad for the Black Knights. Up and down, they're getting contributions from everyone. You know, Dana Saricchio at the top of that lineup and Kim Saunders on the mound. You know, those are 2 players where you get Kim Saunders throwing a gem, and you get Dana at the top of the lineup just constantly getting on base. You know, this is a Stanford team that's really going to be a tough battle against whoever they face off in this tournament. They're not going to be an easy opponent to play against.
That game is still scheduled for 3 p.m. at Trumbull this afternoon. And if you're Coach Giordano and the Black Knights, you don't need to beat Trumbull tonight. You're just trying to get an idea of what it's going to take to hang with that team come postseason time. My friend, unfortunately, we are out of time.
We out.
For today.
We out.
We're back tomorrow. Hopefully the weather holds, and we do have baseball on the HA Network. We're going to do boys and girls lacrosse tomorrow, get you caught up on all of that, and we will know more potentially about the final 8 teams who have clinched a spot if McMahon takes care of Wilton this afternoon. So
yeah, this is going to be a fun week, especially with baseball, just because of who's going to get that final 8 spot. So it's really going to be a blast to see who gets in.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Playoffs start Friday. You'll see them here on the HAN Network. For Kevin Coleman, Frank Granito, thanks again to Scott Erickson. We'll see you next time on the HAN Network.